and law enforcement litigation expert, Sunny Slaughter in Washington, D.C. Thank you, ladies, both for being with us today. Let me start with you, Jenny, and tell me what you think. We know that clearly the defense is trying to say, let me give you reasons for these things. So, for instance, the state said there's no reason for the Jeep to have stopped on the side of the road. I say to you, yes, we've told you he needed a bathroom break, just like anybody would. You raised your hand on the jury. How do you think his closing is going, Jenny?
What I really like about him is he's making it more simple for this jury. When I was listening to the prosecution, it was hard for me to follow as an attorney. So thinking about it from the jury's perspective, it had to be hard for them to follow. And as a reminder, he needs one jury who thinks that there's reasonable doubt. And that's what he's trying to plant that seed, is there could be 100 reasons why they stopped. And so I think overall he's doing a pretty good job.
And I agree with you. And watching the closing argument by the state, I too felt like it was a little bit of throwing different things at the wall, but I was having a hard time maybe connecting those things. But Sunny, tell us your thoughts about the closing argument right now by the defense.
Judge, thank you so much for having me with you. I agree with both of you. I think whenever we have being on a jury is complicated enough. And then when they're not clear and concise and consistency, I think it just convolutes everything that they're hearing. And as my co-guest said, they only need one juror to say, I'm not getting all of this. It doesn't make sense. And we really have to simplify things for the public. So I think the defense is doing a good job.
Let me ask you, because this is what stood out to me so far in the closing argument. Where are the weapons? Should it concern you? Yes, says defense in closing. Should it show you a lack of evidence? Yes. Sunny, let me start with you first this time. I think that in and of itself theoretically might give at least one juror pause to say, wait a minute, that's reasonable doubt.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You really have to think about if he was the shooter and allegedly, then what happened to the guns? Where are they? Why didn't law enforcement find them? Where could they have been placed? Who else was involved? And as the defense attorney said, did they have blinders on? Did they only stop here because if they searched, if they looked in the area, we're coming up short somewhere. So I think it's reasonable doubt. There's enough reasonable doubt just on the gun evidence alone.
All right, Jenny.
Or lack thereof.
Lack thereof. Excellent point. And that's what defense is certainly arguing. Tell me in terms of trial skills. We know we've talked a little bit about the closing by the state, which we showed earlier today here on Court TV, and now we're watching the defense. Both of them are fairly long. I mean, they do go through a lot of the evidence, a lot of their argument. Any thoughts about any of that from your perspective as a trial lawyer?
I think that the charisma is huge for the jury, right? And the defense attorney is connecting with the jury. But what he's also done is he's mentioned to the jury numerous times what the consequences of them convicting him are, and to really know how heavy of a burden that they have on them at this point, because the choices are life in prison or death.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something you and I just talked about briefly while we were watching, and that is, you're right, it's 2 counts of first-degree murder with a deadly weapon, and there are 2 victims. We know there was 21-year-old Anthony Williams and 19-year-old Christopher Thomas. To your point, the sentencing is heavy, and this jury has to decide guilty or not guilty. All right, ladies, stay tuned. We have to squeeze in a break, but when we come back, we're going to get you more into the defense's closing argument. You won't miss any of it. Stay tuned here on Court TV Live.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, an arrest has finally been made in the Long Island serial killings. Our experts break down the investigation and what's next for the defendant.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
One day she literally just disappeared.
Bo claimed Ryan Duke did it. Ryan Duke claimed Bo did it. Who do you believe?
Accomplice to Murder with Fanny Politan. All new episode, Sunday night, 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. So glad that you're joining us. We want to get you back into the defense closing arguments. This is in the state of Florida. And almost 5 years ago, 2 individuals were shot and killed. Now, the state has argued, and it's their position, that those shootings, those murders were done by Jamel Dimmons. This is also a rapper you may have heard of, and he is now fighting for his life.